Nigeria, if we're really going to get out of the woods, then we have to pay a lot of attention to that.
Well, because we have to thank you. Sorry, I have to respectfully cut in there, but we have to thank you, your sector, for contributing nicely to the GDP over the last few years. Even for 2016, as bad as the numbers were, agriculture sector was still one of the golden goose. When oil took us down, oil helped us a little bit from cassava to tomato and the rest of them. Now let's talk to Dr. Iken Nwosu about these GDP numbers that the NBS, the Statistics Office, just released. Talk to us for 2 minutes on this. How does it hit you? 1.3% in fourth quarter, full year 1.51%. Were you surprised?
I wasn't surprised at all. Thanks for the floor. Frankly, we expected it. It should have been worse, frankly. In the last quarter of last year, you know that foreign exchange was not very much available. And in the maritime sector, the forex is a common denominator. So importers didn't have sufficient access to foreign exchange, despite the special window created for them. You saw the spiraling rate of the naira to the dollar. Based on that, there was a drastic 70 to 80% reduction in cargo throughput. The volume of cargo imported into the country dropped. Many shipping companies left Nigeria. The largest shipping line, Maersk, sacked 400 people. Many terminals closed. The ports were so empty that the security men used chalk to draw football fields and play football because the place is empty. So if the raw materials are not coming in and the manufacturers are not manufacturing, of course, that's your production drops. So we expected it worse. And worse still, with the restiveness in the Niger Delta spiraling, gas pipelines being broken, there was no guaranteed gas supplies to power electricity for manufacturing. So we found the whole supply chain was affected. When the shipping lines are closing down, they're not getting cargo. They drop their freight rates to almost uncompetitive rates. The terminals are empty. The custom license agents have little business to do. The transporters have their trucks idle. So the entire trade is affected. So the MPS is right to show us the grim reality that the GDP is seriously impacted.
You were in the ports on a daily basis, and I'm sure you're in the maritime business, so you know. I was just about to ask if you had time to play football last year.
I didn't play in the port.
Because everybody will. Also, you just had a security voice where folks were the one play football. But of course, you're a businessman. You won't have the time to play football. No. But thank you very much for your contributions, my panelists. Let's get on to get about 1 minute each from our lead discussants who will be talking to us on some of these issues as well, the GDP in particular. So let me start this with our lead discussants. Bamidele Ayimebo. Mr. Bamidele Ayimebo is the chairman of the export group, and he will be starting the conversation. Mr. Ayimebo, talk us through these GDP numbers that's just been released by the Nigeria Bureau of Statistics.
Just like every other person has said, it wasn't unexpected. We had challenges with Forex, and I think what we should begin to look at to be able to change the dynamics is as manufacturers are manufacturing and the Greek people are producing, we should begin to put proper structure and strategy in place to export this product. And I don't think we have to wait till we satisfy the local market before we think of export. Because if you look at all the channel of generating forex for the country, the most sustainable, reliable, and channel we have control over is actually export. And that we can see in oil. And I think we need to transfer that also into non-oil so that we can have control on the generation of our forex, and then we can fund all the other sectors that need this forex to be able to power those sectors.
We need to take to the oil sector, according to the latest numbers from the GDP, from the Bureau of Statistics, of course, was that the oil production for Nigeria was 1.90 million barrels per day. Last year, that was 270,000 barrels per day, higher than the production in the third quarter, but lower than the production in the same period of 2015 by 250,000 barrels per day, when we had 2.16 million barrels per day. Let's talk to Ken Abaze, who is in charge of the downstream petroleum group at the LCCI. He's one of our lead discussants. Good morning, Mr. Abaze. Thanks for coming through. You're here in the studio with me. So let's talk us through this. Even though you're in the downstream side of this conversation, but how does this number hit you?
Well, we weren't surprised that while the figure was running about. If you recall, the level of militancy within the same period was so high, and the production were affected. Even movement of products from one location in Nigeria to the other was also very, and most importantly is the forest. Importers and marketers found it very, very difficult to access forests to be able to bring in product within the said period of time. And those are the things that hit the sector very well, that we are not surprised the figures are this low, but things are beginning to look up now. The production volume have gone up, and so it's expected that the stock will be available. It's also good that also the exchange rate is also going, that forests are being assessed now. CBN is able to turn in a lot of money now for people to assess. So we should be looking up for a better figures in this quarter, in this 2017.
Happy guy in the room as we speak. Because you've seen crude at about $56 per barrel, and you see production almost 2 million. Keep that happy face there for us. Thank you. Let's pass the microphone to Mrs. Princess Layo, okay, who is a businesswoman. Now we need to hear from her. Madam, talk to us about the GDP numbers. 1 minute, please.
Thank you very much. Point of correction, I'm an industrialist. I make envelopes. I don't want to repeat what all the discussants said, but as far as I'm concerned, we have underperformed. And as manufacturers, the government needs to encourage us, because it takes the grace of God and the passion to be an industrialist. We have enough of frustration already. A lot of factories are closing down every day, not because they want to close down. All these somersaulting policies has to stop. The government needs to match their words with action.
Princess, I may have to call today respectfully. Thank you, Princess Layo.
You're welcome.
You will have a lot to talk about, and we'll get to talk to others on the show as well. But let's take a quick break at this point. When we return, the year 2017 is already in motion. So, what are the sectoral perspectives on the way forward? We'll be right back in 2.